Hi, welcome to Dan's Office Tech, the channel where I show you the solo operator, digital nomad, and small business entrepreneur how to get the most out of your Microsoft Office, Microsoft Windows, and other productivity software. In today's highly mobile workplace, you may be working from a cafe, on the train, in the meeting room, a co-working space, or in a hotel room. What if your laptop goes missing or gets stolen? What if your home gets broken into and your desktop is taken? Besides electronic documents, your storage may have login passwords to your online accounts, browser cookies, browser tabs, browsing history, and login histories. Cybercriminals can carry out identity theft or impersonation. A more sophisticated threat actor can use information contained in your laptop to build a profile of you and target you or your business associates and customers with scams which seem legitimate. If you are a small business owner, a freelancer, or a digital nomad, you often do not have a dedicated IT department to rely on. You handle data security yourself. Thankfully, Windows has two built-in features that make stealing information from a lost or stolen Windows machine very difficult at best, but only if it is properly configured. Even sophisticated hackers with physical access to your machine will find it almost impossible to extract your documents and files. Despite its effectiveness, well under 5% of all Windows users make use of it. Yes, I'm talking about Microsoft BitLocker encryption working in combination with Windows Pre-Boot Authentication. I know what some of you are thinking. As of March 2026, there is news on the internet that BitLocker has been hacked. But that is not entirely true. An attacker cannot decrypt your data using the exploit if you have a pre-boot authentication pin set. Without going into technical details, the simple explanation of how this works is that the pre-boot authentication pin is required, as the name suggests, before Windows even boots. Only after you pass pre-boot authentication is the BitLocker encryption key passed to Windows for it to unlock your system SSD and boot your computer into the operating system. Using BitLocker with Microsoft Pre-Boot Authentication is still the easiest and most effective way to secure the data on your machine, especially if you are a solo operator or a digital nomad or don't have a dedicated IT department for support. In this video, I'll show you how to set up a Windows login pin, also called Windows Hello. Then, I'll show you how to enable BitLocker for your boot drive. Next, we will enable pre-boot authentication so that everything works hand in hand. First, let's assign a Windows login pin. To assign a PIN number to your Windows sign-in, go to Settings, Accounts, scroll down to Sign-in options, and there you will see PIN. Now, if you open up your sign-in options and see that your PIN configuration is grayed out or says currently unavailable, this usually means your Windows user profile is linked to a work, school, or corporate Microsoft account that enforces its own security rules. In my case, it happens because I have a Microsoft Office 365 business account in addition to my personal Microsoft account. We don't want to have our machine's security tied to a group security policy as it can get cumbersome. Instead, I recommend you to use your personal Microsoft account. This way, you have absolute local administrative control over your machine's pre-boot authentication and sign-in method. To tell Windows to use your own settings, disconnect the Windows Microsoft identity from Windows. To do that, open Windows Settings, go to Accounts, scroll down to Access Work or School. Look for your Microsoft provided email address there. Next, click on the drop-down and select Disconnect. Don't worry, this won't delete your files or cancel your subscription. It just stops the cloud from enforcing group policies on your laptop. Once your Microsoft Business account is disconnected, the Accounts page should look like this. Next, set up your Windows machine to use a PIN for signing in. Go to Settings, Accounts, and under Sign-in options, set your PIN. Now that we have set up our Windows machine to use a PIN for sign-in, the next step is to turn on BitLocker for our boot SSD. Hit the Windows key and type BitLocker and click on the Manage BitLocker app. Under Operating System Drive, click Turn on BitLocker. Windows will do some checks before asking you how you want to save your recovery key. Windows insists on saving a copy of the recovery key before it encrypts your SSD. You have the options to save it to your Microsoft account, to a text file, or to print it out. I recommend that you save it to your Microsoft account and save it to a text file and keep it safe somewhere. Only when you have selected at least one option are you then allowed to proceed. In daily use, you don't need to enter this key. The key is securely stored in the Trusted Platform Module, or TPM, which is a chip inside your computer's motherboard. You only need to manually type in this key in special circumstances, like when you take the SSD out and access it from another computer. Then Windows will ask you for the key. Once you have saved the recovery key using one of the above methods, click Next and BitLocker will begin encrypting. You can continue using your Windows machine. Leave it on until BitLocker has completed encrypting. Now that your boot drive is encrypted, let's allow Windows Pre-Boot Authentication. To do that, press the Windows key, type Group Policy, and open the local group policy editor. Navigate to Computer Configuration, Administrative Templates, Windows Components, BitLocker Drive Encryption, and Operating System Drives. Look for the setting that says Require Additional Authentication at Startup. Open it and set it to Enabled. And under the options below, make sure Configure TPM Startup Pin is set to Require Startup Pin with TPM, and hit Apply. By default, only numbers can be used as a pin. If you want to use a pin with letters and other characters, activate the option Allow Enhanced Pins for Startup. Next, we'll need to do a few commands in Windows command line to turn on pre-boot encryption and set the pre-boot pin. Open Windows command prompt with admin privileges. Type the following, where C refers to your system SSD. Command prompt will ask you to type in the pin that you want and type it again to confirm. You will see key protectors added, followed by TPM and pin and some other details. Next, confirm by typing the following. Here you will see protection status is on and key protectors, numerical password, TPM and pin. When you restart your machine, BitLocker will ask for your pre-boot pin before Windows loads. Once Windows has finished loading, we will sign in using our Windows Hello pin that we set up earlier. Now is probably a good time to give you a little bit of explanation. The BitLocker Pre-Boot Authentication pin protects your physical data from being decrypted when your machine is stolen or lost. Your Windows Hello sign-in protects your machine from unauthorized users when Windows is running. It protects your user profile and the documents and apps your profile has access to while your machine is turned on. It is what lets you to temporarily lock your computer when you are away. Without it, anyone can bring up the screen and access your computer while it is on. If this video helps you, consider subscribing to my channel and give this video a like. It will help the YouTube algorithm promote the video to more people. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.